In 2008 and 2009, President Obama ordered a complete review of national strategy in Afghanistan, and the debate was between counterinsurgency and counterterrorism. Counterterrorism has a very specific mission. It's like taking down Al-Qaeda, but it can be conducted on a much smaller scale by units that remain primarily on forward operating bases with raids into a population based on specific intelligence. Counterinsurgency, on the other hand, is about hearts and minds. Military strategy often calls for teams of special operators to live in the village amongst the population at a much greater risk to themselves. It's hard and it takes time, and we can see that in Afghanistan. We also know what Afghanistan has already cost, so we can extrapolate pretty easily what it would cost to invest a generation in that country. So over the past year, we've re-reviewed that policy, and we are looking for an exit, right? We've made the same kind of analysis in the church. Show me a church that is actually changing the city in which it's located. And by change, I mean real, actual, tangible change. Lower divorce rates, higher literacy rates, lower incarceration rates with reduced recidivism, lower school dropout rates, lower rates of sexual assault. I think that we fooled ourselves into believing that we're doing so much more than we are, that we're actually doing the work of the church instead of just church work. So instead, we've become really good at replicating churchgoers, not Acts Christians. We give just enough, we serve just enough to maintain our local church building and its staff, preserving the status quo, but never really investing enough time or enough effort to make a real change. And that gap becomes really evident in times like these. In this country today, if my commitment to Jesus Christ were to be judged on my willingness to sign the right petitions and support the right causes, then for most of us, that's an easy win. We can do that all day. However, if my commitment is judged on my spirit-led effort Monday through Saturday to fulfill the Great Commission and to live within the framework of Matthew 25, then most of us, if we're being honest, are looking at D's or F's. We can tell you the things that we're against, but too many of us have no idea what we're supposed to be for. That's why in 2008, I couldn't believe it when I heard Christians mocking the idea of hope and change. In our haste to be political and to elect the right candidate, we completely missed a wide open opportunity and the significance of America's absorption with hope and change. That's our message. As followers of Jesus Christ, hope and change is the entirety of our existence. If we're not about hope or change, then what are we doing? Following Jesus Christ is not a make your life better club. It isn't about the American dream. It isn't about middle of the road, middle class morality. It isn't about winning the next election. It's about being transformed and seeing the world transformed. So we've become very institutionalized, no longer agents of hope and radical change. We are now the protectors of what we believe to be the status quo. And from a historical perspective, this reminds me of the transition between the early church and the Eastern Orthodox Catholic Church, where we see this trading the transformative power of Jesus Christ for this legislative and institutional power. Ironically, it's a process that led to some of the worst cruelties imaginable, the Crusades, the Inquisition, the Dark Ages, and we see it today. We have almost completely traded the message of Jesus Christ for political position. Who cares that the world sees us as moralistic, pharisaical hypocrites? Much of it stems from the fact that walking in the transformative power of the Holy Spirit requires a different life, especially in our relationship to money and stuff. There's a reason that the early church lived and walked in this amazing power that we see described in the book of Acts. And it has nothing to do with different dispensations or different locations on the space-time continuum. Those are lame excuses for our spiritual laziness. God said in Malachi, I don't change. The early disciples were simply willing to live in ways that we are not. And changing that is goal 1 of Project 2031.